Hi everybody, welcome once again. It's Burt and Suzy here, and today we're going to tackle the most amazing questions that people have sent to us. And these questions, they revolve around the final goal of spirituality, the final goal of A Course in Miracles, the final goal, some people call it awakening, some people call it enlightenment, some people call it oneness with God. And so we're going to talk about these subjects, and we're going to try and explain them in the way that makes it very easy to understand, no matter what level you're coming in at, whether you've been a seasoned seeker or whether this is your very first day trying to understand what's really going on here. So I'm going to start with a question. So here's our first question.
Okay.
Our first question is, Dear Burt and Suzy, I've always had this question. When we are one with God, when there is nothing else except that one awareness, do I know myself as I am? Am I even aware of that? Or no, since there's nothing to know, even itself?
That's a beautiful question. And it's a very common one, too. Yeah. So when we tackle the question, do I disappear in God? Do I become one with God? Yes. You know, this reminds me of
Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah,
and Mr. Bojangles.
Right, that's right, yeah. Yeah. One time, Sammy Davis Jr. was asked to do a Bojangle dance. And maybe they didn't know it at the time, but Bojangle happens to be the major favorite of
yeah, he does a really good job with that one. He takes your breath away when you watch him.
Yeah, and he did this dance, and it was incredible. He stunned the people, and when it was over, everybody stood up clapping. Okay? And it was a great moment for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, now where does it come up with the first question? You see? When we feel that, how
right.
did you read it?
It says, when we are one with God, when there is nothing else except that one awareness, do I know myself as I am?
Yes.
So in that, am I still there?
You're still there. But the thing is that when you melt into that feeling of being one with God, that means you are all love at that moment. Mm-hmm. You're totally immersed. You become one with it. And in the same way, when Gene Kelly played the part and singing in the rain, and then he was supposed to be in love with Debbie Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went out into the rain and danced. And it was typical of that moment when he's so in love. He doesn't care about the rain or getting drenched. Mm-hmm. And he did a beautiful dance. And it became one of the favorites, actually, in show business.
So he was like one with the rain.
He was one with it. So in other words, he was so enthralled with that deep love that he felt, that love expressed itself at that moment as someone.
It's interesting because even when you're the audience in that case, like watching Sammy Davis Jr. perform Bojangles and watching that classic Gene Kelly dance, Singing in the Rain, I can imagine from the performer's perspective they were in complete oneness. But as the audience, you feel the same. There's like a total connection. There's right. Total joy. There's no sense of, oh, I'm jealous because he's a good dancer, or why can't I be a star? There's that sense of complete and total connection and joy and just incredible happiness in that moment.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This reminds me of so many things that I love. One time there was what's his name? The beautiful pianist.
Liberace.
Yeah. He played a beautiful tune one time, and when I heard it, I was in La La Land completely. Now, at that point, was I one with God? Yes. You see? Because at that moment there was perfection of this moment.
And it's almost like we've disappeared into the music.
And you disappear into the music and you become one with the music. So this is what it means to be one with God, is at that moment you're transported into the highest that you can feel. You see, and it's such a beautiful thing. I remember when I was younger, I used to love tap dancing, and I used to watch Gene Kelly. And I wanted to be like him.
He's amazing.
Yeah, and I wanted to be like him. And he used to do tap dance called soft shoe. You know, it sends me away. And I copied it. I became a very good tap dancer, and my mother loved me. I was very young at the time. But I used to tap dance for my mother, and she used to watch me, and she used to want the neighbors to come and watch. But at that moment, I was Gene Kelly, which of course saying like I was one with God, you see? I was in that moment, yeah. So this is what is meant. Now, to read it again.
Yeah, what's very interesting here is because it's a lot of people when they start on a spiritual path, they'll read something or they'll come across some information and it scares them. Because to them it's somehow synonymous with death. But this example that you just gave, when you listen to beautiful music, you disappear into the music.
You disappear.
But there's no fear in that.
But there is no disappearance.
No.
It's just that you're one with the music.
You're one with the music.
Yeah.
So back to the question, it says, when we are one with God, when there is nothing else except that one awareness, do I know myself as I am?
Yeah. At the moment, you're not self-conscious. So the question, will I know myself as I am?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anymore.
It's pure joy.
See, the truth is you are. I am. You are. I am. Okay? I am is a very beautiful word. As a matter of fact, when Moses went up on the mountain and he saw the shrub fire and he asked God, he says, God, what is your name? And God said, I am that I am. You see, so the word I am is very symbolic of the greatest that you can be. You are, I am. Now, will I am disappear? Well, I am is that beautiful melting into the potential that you are. You see. So, do you disappear? Do you not disappear? No, you become one with it. You're just one with it in your feeling nature. The joy, the love that you feel is to the point where you forget your ego. As a matter of fact, at that moment, you don't have an ego at all. You're one with what is happening. Yeah. So I hope we were clear about answering your question. The name starts with M, so you know who you are.
Yeah, it's a beautiful question.
It's a beautiful question.
And it's a beautiful answer as well.
Yeah.
So we have a related question, and it's also a very common topic, specifically in the Course. The Course uses the word atonement. And in the Course, there's one particular statement that appears almost identically twice in the Course. It occurs in the text, and in the text it says, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. And then later on it says in the Manual for Teachers, it says the sole responsibility of God's teacher is to accept the atonement himself.
That's right.
So the common question we get is, what is the atonement, and what does it mean to accept the atonement?
Okay. Well, the atonement, as far as I understand it, and well, I'm sure it isn't that really, is that in the beginning we are told that there was a big bang. There was a beginning. There was the fall of man, etc., etc. But in truth, science cannot go further back than that at that point. So we don't know what actually happened. But if we go back with the Course of Miracles, we realize that time does not exist in reality. So it might exist here on us on earth, but in truth, in God's world, there is no time and there is no space. So if there is no time and space, it means there is no beginning. If there is no beginning, it means that we always were. We always were one with God. You see? And that's the beautiful thing. And you might say, but if we were one with God, were we aware? Yes, because awareness is the very nature of God.
And that's what we've been talking about. It's in the Course, Jesus says, or in the Bible, I think it says, before Abraham, I am.
I am.
So again, that's before the beginning, because the Bible starts with Abraham.
That's right.
And so
That's
before
right.
that, there's this I am, which is also this oneness with God. There's this pure joy. There's this pure sense of as you've described with this tap dancing or with beautiful music, there's that sense of losing ourselves in it, where we're not aware of anything outside of that moment of joy and beauty.
That's right.
There's nothing external to us.
We're one with that beauty, you see, yes.
So
yes.
the atonement is basically saying that that's the current state now, but somehow we're missing out on it.
And we're missing out on it, you see.
We're mistaken.
That's right, that's right. So we can easily go into a state of being one with God, which means joy, says, aliveness. You see, the true nature of being. I was going to say something. The atonement. The atonement refers to the idea that when there was the fall of man, when it actually happened, took place at that point, there was the question, I wonder what it would be like to be separate.
A tiny mad idea.
Yeah, tiny mad idea. And so that's what happened. And then we were all separated, you see. So we started building the body. What we might have been born to other creatures at this point. At this point, we just leave it, okay? But from that point on, we created bodies, okay? And we started to manifest as these bodies.
It was the Big Bang, right?
The
question is, what would it be like to be separate?
And the question is, what it would be like to be separate. Now, the Course is saying here that with the atonement, to accept the atonement means to realize that the Big Bang or the fall of man, etc., did not happen.
Never happened.
It never happened. Why? Because there was no time. In truth, time doesn't exist. And in that reality, when it happened, there was no time. So therefore, when we begin to see ourselves as separate, in truth, we are not separate at all. We are bonded each other. We are like one. We're like one family, in other words. Okay? And that is the love that is lacking because we see too much separation between us. So the atonement means that there was no separation ever.
Right.
You see, and when we begin to understand that, then you begin to see that I am everyone I see. If I offend someone, the offense is in me.
Because there's only one.
Because there's only one.
Because separation never happened.
That is correct.
And that's what we learn through forgiveness, right?
We cannot understand it in terms of numbers when we say there's only one instead of so many. But the point is that we are all really joined in spirit. And so how we feel about one another is how we feel about ourselves. If I hate someone, I'm hating myself at that moment. We're all one. So this is the acceptance of the atonement.
Of the atonement.
It means that we accept the fact that in truth we are not separate.
Which means all that exists is still God.
All that exists is still God.
And so the only thing that keeps us from accepting that is attaching to our ego beliefs.
That's right.
And judgment.
Right. That's right.
And attack thoughts.
Yes, that's right.
So we're attacking nothing. It's an illusion because there's only this one reality of pure awareness of God is, of I am.
Of I am, right. And the I am, I say I am, you say I am, he says I am. It's all the same one I am. And this is the acceptance of the atonement. the fullness. It is love. Love, unadulterated love, complete love. And that is the whole meaning and truth of being.
So the word acceptance, does acceptance, because it often uses throughout the Course the word acceptance with the Atonement. It doesn't say realize, it doesn't say know beyond. It says you have to accept it. You have to accept it. So does this mean that even though you might still be prone to ego thoughts, the more and more you forgive and you start to see the oneness, for instance, as I forgive, what I'm doing is I'm actually seeing that everything's coming from my mind. So if I have an idea that something outside of me offended me, if I look at it in reality and I say, no, it was my own thoughts, that gets corrected. I see the oneness. The joy gets reinstated. So the more we do these forgiveness exercises, or the more we forgive, even though we might still have some negative thoughts coming from time to time, and we still have to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
Is the acceptance something that's done consciously? Is it a conscious choice? Is this acceptance a conscious choice?
It is essential that we make a point of it. Yeah. So until we begin to feel the oneness we already are, you see, we're not joining ourselves together. We're already joined.
We're already joined.
But we're not aware of it.
So we're just accepting the truth.
So we're accepting the truth.
Okay.
Right. And the moment you fully accept it, you are it.
You're it.
Yeah.
So everything else that seems to cause any distress is that we're arguing with the truth.
That's
As
right.
Byron Katie says, all your problems are caused because you are arguing with the truth.
That's right.
If you realize the truth is that God is, then there's nothing to argue with.
Oh, that's beautiful. God is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So those the two questions. I hope that we have helped you to understand them better. And wish you the best.
Right. See you again next time.
See you.
Thanks for joining
Bye-bye.
us. Bye.